The blue shadow virus rages across the galaxy, and this week the Scruffy Nerf Herders are on the search for the cure. Meanwhile, in a galaxy far, far away, a hidden enemy seeks out to destroy the Republic's war efforts, and our heroes are faced with the toughest question yet. Have Master Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ventress Asaajj totally done the deed? Answers to these questions and much more on this week's episode of Clonecast.
Hey, welcome back to Clonecast episode 7. We are almost done with the first season of Clone Wars, and we have a lot to talk about this week as we just got done watching episodes 17, 16, and 18. Not sure why I said it that way, but anyway, this week, as always, joined with
Robbie, the man, the myth, and legend.
And Brendan, Misa's still here.
Yes, we have some Jar Jar drama to jump into later in the show, but I've got some stuff. I was not prepared last week. I started the show and told you I have absolutely zero Star Wars things to talk about, but I got some Star Wars trivia for the two of you, and I figured I would basically do this as like I'd ask the question, you both give me the answer, I'll tell you who's right, and we'll keep a tally, and we'll figure out who is the biggest Star Wars fan out of all of us.
Can we buzz in?
I don't know how we would do that.
Just yell buzz.
Okay. And then the other person gets to answer, and if they get it right, you each get a point.
Robbie's totally going to destroy us in this game.
Question number 1. How much did Harrison Ford make for his role of Han Solo in A New Hope?
Ooh. No Googling, correct?
Yeah, no Googling.
Buzz.
Go ahead, Brendan.
I don't know, $5,000.
No.
All right, Robbie, what you got?
I'm going to say... I'm going to say $22,000.
All right. $10,000.
Damn it, that was going to be my first guess. But
So neither of you are
maybe
going to get that. We're not playing Price is Right rules. So.
Whoa, Price Right rules always.
No. Question number 2. True or false? The word Ewok is never uttered in these Star Wars movies.
True.
Brendan, what's your answer?
Well, I want to say true, but he said true, so I'll go false.
The answer is true. So Robbie is on the board.
Yeah.
1-0. Moving into question 3. During the initial release of Star Wars, how many theaters featured the film?
Ooh.
Buzz.
Go ahead.
50.
Buzz.
Go ahead.
107.
I'm very intrigued by that number, but the correct one is 40 theaters.
Damn it.
Only 40
surprising.
theaters
Wow.
showed it.
I knew it was really low.
Yeah, I mean, it was back in the 70s,
That
too.
makes
So you
sense,
got to
yeah.
think like, yeah. All right. So we know how much Harrison Ford made in A New Hope. How much do you think Mark Hamill made in Star Wars A New Hope?
Oh, Mark Hamill was a nobody, dude. Nobody. I'm going to say he made $900.
$8,000.
$650,000.
Damn it. Was he already doing voice
Right.
acting or something?
He was already kind of an established actor. Harrison Ford was a cabinet maker before he did A New Hope.
Huh.
So he was coming on fresh. Yeah.
Really?
According to the report, Mark Hamill made $1,000 per week on top of royalties for A New Hope.
I was so backwards on that.
And then the final question, keeping on salary. Okay, we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Sir Alec Guinness. What was his salary
Oh, nobody
in
knows
A New
him.
Hope?
He made a quick $90K.
Ooh. $74,000.
$3.3 million.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. I'm assuming his
Damn.
contract definitely had to have some royalties in there. But out of the entire cast, he was the most well-known actor in the entire series.
That's crazy.
So the score, I wasn't keeping track, but I believe it was Robbie 1, Brendan 0.
Yes,
So
correct.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't say. I mean, those were tough questions.
I won
Those
on
were
true
very
false.
tough questions.
Price is Right rules, I would have had 2 points.
That's true. Price is Right rules, though. You could just say $1 and win, like each time.
Also true.
All right, we got 3 new episodes that we need to dive through.
Yes.
So let's jump into episode 16, The Hidden Enemy, which takes us back to the planet of Christopher Walken. Can't say it. And we go to the prequel of the movie, which I thought was kind of fun.
B does a really good Christopher Walken impersonation.
I don't.
Show it to him, B. Go ahead.
I don't even know how to say anything like him.
Well, I mean, all our listeners are going to be so upset when they don't hear you do it.
I'm like trying to imagine his voice. I'm Christopher Walken. I can't do it.
I'm totally
Told you.
subscribing to the actual bit that we just come up with random people and say that Brendan has great impressions of them.
I mean, I'm down to try it anytime, but it's embarrassing because I know I can't do it.
That'll be how we
Speaking
close.
of Bill Cosby, do you know that Brendan has a great Bill Cosby impression?
That'll be how
Why don't you do it, Brendan?
we'll close every
I don't
episode.
I've never watched Bill Cosby. I don't even know what to attempt to do there.
You put the Jello in the pudding. Yeah. So this was the prequel to the worst Star Wars movie ever made. We kind of get the foreground, and we see that Obi-Wan and Cody are set up, and there's a traitor amongst the midst. Overall thoughts? What'd you guys think?
I was confused because, so right in the beginning of it, I was like, hey, this looks really familiar. So it is supposed to be before that movie, right?
Correct.
So at the ending of it, that's still before the movie?
Correct.
Okay.
The prequel for the prequel for the prequel.
What's so okay, I was going to say, because like at the end of that episode, I was like, I want to see what happens next. And then, I mean, I guess I already have. But, I mean, right off the gate, you know, we see Obi-Wan and Anakin seemingly trying to work with some clone troopers to ambush a droid battalion, it looks like. So when things didn't go their way and suddenly the droids had the upper hand, like we've kind of discussed, you said that movie made it seem very equal, and how we've kind of noticed in some of these episodes it does seem kind of one-sided a lot. But this was, again, another one of those episodes where the CIS had the upper hand, and it was cool to see. I like seeing that.
What about you, B?
I just thought it was fascinating. Like, he can't be the only clone trooper that has turned against the clones and done stuff like that. But at the same time, knowing like what the clones do, like technically, is that the good guy? Who knows?
Well, yeah, I think we should kind of go through more of the episode, but I definitely want to talk more about that specifically because I have the same opinion. Like,
so Obi-Wan and Cody, they get set up. The droids sneak attack them. They find out that someone is leaking information to the tactical droids and the CIS, and they discover that a clone was a spy. And Cody and Rex pursue the spy, are unable to catch him. And I had the thought, because like this chase scene ends in the cafeteria, and I was like, it's super convenient that this guy or this traitor is a clone, because like he literally can go anywhere in the base, and they're like, which one of these guys is it?
yeah, and that's, I mean, they were kind of like shocked themselves when they saw, because they were kind of I thought it was cool, first off, when they were getting attacked by the CIS and they like got into this like a star battleship, whatever, and were flying away, and I don't know if it was Cody or one of the troopers, but he straight up just like ripped off the head off of a droid, and they're like, yeah, where can you take this? And I just thought that was funny that's how they take their information and try to learn something. So I did think it was interesting on how they were going to find, like you guys said, a spy in an army of clones. Like, how do you figure that out? And it's, you know, one of their brothers, they're trained to fight for the Jedi and fight for the Republic. So very interesting.
The other thing that this episode gives us is a deeper dive at Ventress, and a pretty dope lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ventress. So Obi-Wan and Anakin are like pursuing the CIS, and they're kind of sent out into a trap by the traitor, and Ventress is waiting for them. And there's this moment where like one of the CIS walkers is stuck on the building, and Ventress is standing on top of it, and Obi-Wan and Anakin jump down and chop the legs in half, and it just starts falling. And I was just like, dude, this is such a sick moment. And I'm just like, I don't know. There's moments in these episodes where I'm just like, I can't believe I'm watching a cartoon right now.
Yeah, but along with that, there's also really dumb moments. Like, first off, I thought it was awesome that she was just being ballsy enough to take them both on. Like, when she kind of stepped out, like, she didn't even, like, lunge at them or anything. Like, she just walked out from the shadows and was like, oh, hey, I'm here to fight both of you. Like, and she I mean, was fighting them. And then she was, like, pretending to, like, meditate or something on the ground, and they charged after her, and she just, like, stabbed the ground, and the ground fell, and they fell into this hole, which, you know, great idea for a trap, but maybe have a hole where they can't just jump right out of them. Because she's like, yeah, I have you trapped now. And then, like, I don't know, 7 seconds later, Obi-Wan's like... And here's the other thing. Ventress I don't know if Ventress and Obi-Wan have this like sexual tension, but every time she's like, Obi-Wan. And then at one point when Obi-Wan was in the hole, he called her my sweet. He was like, your plan's not going to work, my sweet. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I had to Google it this week because I was like, I want to know Ventress's backstory. And I found out that she's basically from the same planet as Darth Maul.
They used to date?
What'd you say?
Did Ventress and Obi-Wan used to date? Because there's some sexual
but
tension.
she was a Padawan the same time Obi-Wan was. So there could be some tension,
I'm
but it
telling
wasn't
you.
on Wikipedia.
She didn't say shit to Anakin, but she was being very seductive when she said Obi-Wan's name multiple times.
Yes. I mean, there's definitely possibly something there, you know. Maybe there's like a little love angle.
Maybe.
Adult novel we get later.
Oh, God. Please no.
But anyways, they jump out, and like you said, she jumps onto a droid and busts out a window. And
Hold on. We're overlooking easily one of the greatest moments in Force history. Ventress takes books out of a library and throws them at Anakin and Obi-Wan while they're fighting. And I was just like, how does that gonna, like, they have laser swords. What are we doing here, folks?
That's true. Well, back at the town base, whatever you want to call it, Cody and Rex were trying to find this traitor and they figured out that it was a transmission in the computers because R2 helped him out and found out that the transmission that was sent to the CIS came from, I don't even know what he was, Captain, Commander, Sergeant Slick. Came out of his barracks, and so they're like, oh man, it's got to be one of his guys. Slick's not going to like that. So they start interrogating
Poor Slick.
them. Well, here's the thing that was cool, leading to kind of what B was saying earlier, that we really got to see the different personalities of these clones. And yeah, they're all clones, but just seeing how each one of them, when they come back from battle, something's more important to them than others. Like, obviously, one was like hurt, and when they were interrogating him, like one of them was like, "No, I was cleaning my gun," and so they like checked his gun, like, "Yep, super clean." And then this other guy was like, "I was super hungry," like, and just they were all kind of like they all kind of knew each other, but it was just cool to see the different personalities, even though they're all essentially from the same person.
Nature versus nurture, bro.
Bro, that's what I've been saying.
It's interesting.
Their
It's really cool to see.
experiences change them.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them was actually like cutting off toes of robots and turning it into a necklace, like as an art project.
They thought he was...
Which I didn't understand why that's like frowned upon. I'm like, that seems like, I don't know, is that frowned upon?
Yeah, I don't know why that would be frowned upon, but they made a comment that it was, forbidden or something like that, and it's like, why?
Well, I guess the flip side, like if you put it in like Earth terms, if somebody was like in war chopping off toes of their enemies and putting it on a necklace, that probably would be frowned upon here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think probably. I think it is frowned
That
upon.
makes sense.
Unless you're Daryl Dixon putting zombie ears on your necklace.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
you
that's
go.
kind of the only exception. Yeah, so essentially they find out that Sergeant Slick was the spy.
What?
Yes. Not very slick at all.
Oh, he's slick. He's
Poor
And
Sergeant Slick.
he's able to escape, blows up a bunch of stuff on the base, causing a distraction, and kind of goes into hiding. And Commander Cody and Rex are kind of in pursuit. And one of the things I was writing is I was like, obviously we need drama in this show from the perspective to like keep it rolling.
Yeah.
But my God, no one is capable of making sure that like this guy is captured.
What do you mean?
It just felt like even in the scene where they're like he's hiding in the vents and they know he's up there, and then he drops down and there's like a little skirmish and then they have him at gunpoint, but then he's able to escape again, and I'm just like, my God, like what is going on here?
Bro, he didn't come a commander for no reason.
He's a sergeant, bro.
He knows how to fight.
That's what I wanted to know, because like we've seen like Rex and Cody in action, and they're like badasses. And I was very surprised that, like, first off, it was clever that Rex and Cody essentially devised a plan to get him out of the vents once they both realized he was up there without even communicating with each other. Like, I'm not sure if they were giving each other looks or using some sort of clone telepathy, but they, like, knew exactly what the plan was and carried it out to perfection. And even when they had him at gunpoint, this Slick guy just hand-to-hand combat just starts whooping their asses, and I was like, what the hell? Like, oh my god, man, this guy was just nuts. Maybe it's just he had something to motivation to escape. Maybe that's what made him better.
Well, yeah. What do you do with a clone that turned against you?
Yeah.
You don't keep him.
Well, there is the line that he drops at the end that he's like, I'm not doing this for money, I'm doing it for freedom. So maybe the idea of like not being a slave to the Jedis is kind of enough motivation, and maybe he hates the Jedi.
Bro, I felt that, and I'm not even a Jedi or a clone.
Yeah, so now that we're kind of at that scene, like I really wanted to hear from you, B, on your take on that.
Bro, I like fully agreed with what he was saying. Just because they're clones doesn't mean they're not people. They all got feelings. They all got lives. They all got things that they like that we just got to see in this episode. What's most important to them. But they're just getting used as basically droid fodder.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. I was going to say cannon fodder, but you said droid fodder, and that's clever.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, it's like legit. They just throw them at the enemy like they don't matter. And that's why I called out when it seemed like Anakin cared. And I know, Robbie, you fought me on that, but like most of them don't seem to really care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was a big point to me, because I'm like, Anakin was treating them like they were people.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he did. But
When? He has not. Not even once this entire time.
in that one episode when he cared about his clones.
Bro, there's an episode later that we're going to talk about, and he doesn't give a fuck about any clones that are dying, but he cares about his lady and his Padawan.
That's because he's thinking with his penis and not with the Force.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyways,
he made a lot of dumb decisions in that one.
He doesn't care. I feel like he does not care about the clones. He feels like they're essentially droids to him. And, I mean, this slick guy, he just was going on and on about how he felt enslaved and he doesn't have freedom. And we've made several comments about, the Jedi kind of had it coming to them, just thinking they were all that. And just the fact that the Jedi were just taking in this entire army to do their bidding. And think about even how they obtained it. Like, they're like, Commander Sifo-Dyas put in the order for this clone army. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll take them. And they just took them and used them without even a second thought. Like, yeah, all right, cool, now we have an army. I was like, what?
Yeah, there's multiple lines in this show that I think kind of put the clone's perspective into like an idea of like, even in one of the episodes coming up where he's like, there's a dead clone and he's like, this is what we're made for. And it's like, we're made to die. And I think you have that. And then at the end of the show, there's a line that I think I've talked about before where it's like, the clones have a hard time with the idea of the war ending, because if there's no war, what's the purpose of the clones? Like, why are they there?
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, since you've kind of seen more of this than me and Brennan have, you've made comments about how we'll see more with the clones and kind of almost have an understanding about Order 66. And I'm wondering, like, is this kind of the beginning of that, where you have one clone kind of speaking out and saying how he feels enslaved and trapped and doesn't have freedom? And obviously there's probably more that feel that way too. And so, yeah, you have some that are kind of leaders of the pack and feel self-righteous and everything about what they're doing for the Republic. But then you got all these other grunts that are just being thrown in. And I mean, we see clones die every episode pretty much. Without
going into too many spoilers, that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As much as I think that would be a good story arc, it's got nothing to do with it.
That makes more sense to me. That makes more sense why clones would turn than whatever else is probably the real reason.
Now that you kind of went into that, and you and Brendan are kind of like expanding upon it, I'm kind of like looking at the reasoning, and I'm like, man, the reasoning's kind of lazy writing.
That's like a perfect reason. Like they just harbor resentment against the Jedi, and so then when they're given that order, they're like, yeah, fuck it, who cares?
Yeah,
freedom.
So the episode kind of ends with them capturing Slick and then leading into the worst Star Wars movie of all time. But the question I wrote at the end of this, and I'm interested to hear both of your thoughts, did this episode save the movie at all?
So I'll be real honest with you. I didn't even, like I said, it looked familiar in the beginning, and I had that thought cross my mind of, oh, is this supposed to be before the movie? But I never connected to the movie whatsoever for me. And now that we've kind of talking about it and you've pointed it out so much, it does kind of save the movie a little bit. But I just wish some of the story was maybe put into the movie, because it feels now that like we saw the last half of a movie, but that was the entire movie. But this kind of gave a little bit more the beginning story. I guess a little bit more on Ventress, I guess. I don't know. It's just that whole movie bugged me, like I've said multiple times before, with how they introduced Ventress, but obviously there's other things that are coming before that. So
Yeah, I had no idea that this even led up to the movie. I would have never put that together had you not said that to me.
Now that you do, how does it make you feel?
I already forgot that movie. It was a terrible movie.
I would have thought that when they said
I literally can't even remember like how it even would tie in.
Well, there was a line at the end of this episode that kind of tied it in perfectly where he's like, or Obi-Wan's like, there's a battalion of clones coming. Do we have any weapons? And someone's like, we've got cannons. And I was like, okay. Like, they're talking about the cannons that they're going to use to take the battalion down. But no, for me, it was when they said Christophus. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's an episode that's before or a prequel to the worst movie ever made.
Oh wow! So we're gonna see more between the story.
No, I mean this is kind of the only prequel to the first movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
terrible movie.
You guys got any final thoughts, or you want to move on to the next two episodes, which are kind of tied together?
I really liked the episode, to be honest. Just thought it was really interesting. We hadn't really seen like a clone turn on the other clones before, so I enjoyed it. I did really enjoy this episode. So
same. I thought it was fascinating to see like the personality differences and also like the basically slavery topic that was brought up, because I never really thought about it like that until this episode.
Well, this is the stuff that I wanted to see with this show. Like, I was really hoping it wasn't going to be like, oh, how are Anakin and Obi-Wan going to save the day today? Like, it's diving more into the clones and stuff, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to like the strength of the Star Wars universe that like they can have an episode with 3 characters that we've really never seen outside of like cameos like Cody, Rex, and then like this Sergeant Slick, and it can be entertaining. Like you're just like, oh man, like yeah, I want to see this.
That's what Star Wars.
Like, even though, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's what Star Wars fans have been asking for. Like, show us other stuff. I mean, we make comments constantly like, oh, we actually have a new planet that's not Tatooine, or you know. So it's like we've always been like, there's such a vast universe that they can tackle, and they're just not. And so I've really been enjoying this show mainly for the fact that it's diving more into the Star Wars universe.
Well, that's kind of a perfect cameo, or sorry, that's a perfect segue, not a cameo, a perfect segue into
planets we've already been to.
Yes, the planets we've already been to and can never seem to leave. Next episode 17, is called the Blue Shadow Virus. Now, last week we were talking about it. This was the main episode that I remember from the first season. And essentially, droids are invading Naboo again. You know, surprise, surprise. And Padme and Jar Jar are sent back to Naboo in order to investigate the invasion.
Yeah, I was real
question.
Excited. Oh,
did you see if he had a silver leg?
I did not.
I didn't even look.
I never even looked. I just thought about it just now.
Damn it!
He was in this episode.
He was. I didn't even look. I feel. Oh man.
I literally never remember until we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh shit, I should have looked.
So one thing that I thought was kind of cool.
Talking about 3PO,
like,
by the way. I don't know if we said that, but
anybody
listening, we're
Jar
talking
Jar's
about
got a
C-3PO.
silver leg, guys. Yeah. No. One thing that I thought was really cool about this episode is Captain Typho. Like he had such a small role in Phantom Menace, where he was literally just kind of like Padme's protector.
That's who that was.
Yeah, so he was even in Attack of the Clones, he was there because like I think in the beginning of the Attack of Clones where there's like assassination on Padme, and he's like, I guess the threats were false and there wasn't a threat, and then it blows up. Well, Captain Typho's there, so that was kind of cool to see him or see Star Wars expand upon this character with this episode.
Yeah, I totally didn't even put that together, but yep, I knew he looked familiar, but I couldn't remember why, and I was like, was he in a previous episode? Like, I was like, I feel like this guy with the eye patch looks familiar.
The other thing that I think is interesting is there's a new queen on Naboo. Padme used to be the queen, and I'm like, man, you gave up being a queen to become a senator.
Lame.
That just seems like you're going backwards.
Right. I'm a queen.
Like, that's like being a manager of McDonald's and being like, you know what? Line cook sounds pretty good.
No, because you have to think senator. When you think about the senator in the aspect of like our government, like if somebody is a senator, they're the senator of a country. And then you have like the leader of a country, as in this case, like a queen. So in this case, you have a queen of Naboo, but she pretty much stays on Naboo, doesn't go anywhere. Then you have the senator of Naboo, and she's part of the Galactic Senate. That does seem like a higher rank. You know what I mean? Because she's making decisions for the
galaxy.
Yeah, she's representing them. So
I would guess that they're both similar roles. One just reports to the Galactic Senate, and one rules the planet. But as we saw in that ice episode, what was it, last week?
Mm-hmm.
The senator and the person in charge of the planet like seem to kind of work together.
So is that like the combination of like Padme and Jar Jar? Like they both just like tag team?
So Jar Jar's a representative.
Of
Representative
what? Of Naboo?
Binks of Naboo.
So is Padme?
She's a senator.
Oh. So he's...
So like that's how I've always understood it, is like
Okay.
putting it in the perspective of like the U.S. government. We have the House of Representatives and we have
Yeah.
the Senate. Padme would be a senator. Binks would be a representative, basically.
So right at the beginning of this episode, we get this droid being brought in that's from the CIS, covered in mud, and they're trying to figure out some intel from this droid. They're also wondering why it's covered in mud. And then we get Jar Jar just being Jar Jar, you know? Chasing a bug. Oh, muy delicious. Like super excited
That was really good.
to taste this bug. And Jar Jar is just being a nuisance. And somehow the most helpful person in the room, all in one scene.
He's a Sith.
Like, he destroys the room, kills the robot that they finally got working again, and we're trying to ask, like, what's going on, and this robot's telling about this virus, and they're like, you know, 3PO's trying to, like, convince him that, you know, they're part of the CIS, and tell us what's going on, tell us your plans, tell us what this virus is, tell us where the secret base is, yada, yada, yada. And this robot just gets destroyed by Jar Jar, knocking over a bunch of shelves, and he's like, oh yeah, I was chasing this bug that is only found under this tree in this swamp covered in mud. And they're like, oh, that's why the droid's covered in mud. Yeah, I know exactly where the tree... And I'm like, dude, really? Like, just the most unhelpful and most helpful person at the same scene.
Always. That's Jar Jar for you.
That's
And
Jar
also
Jar.
to answer your question, 1 minute and 5 seconds into the episode, you can see C-3PO's full body, and there is no silver leg. Just
No
saying.
way. I gotta look at that. Hold on. Would you say
I'm
a
literally
minute what?
sitting on a still frame at 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Really?
I would take
That's-
a screenshot, but Disney Plus does not allow that.
Won't let you.
Nope. You got to pay for the next tier up in order to take screenshots.
Is there really a tier?
No, but there is a price increase coming up for Disney Plus.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They're going to have an ad version, which is the
Oh,
current price that everyone's paying.
God.
But honestly, like I pay for the trio bundle where it's like Disney, Hulu, and ESPN, and that bundle is going to be $19.99 a month. And I'm just kind of like, that still seems like a deal because I get all the UFC fights, I get Hulu, and I get all the Disney content. Like, it's hard to argue against that.
And thanks to our sponsor, Disney Plus.
Correct. Hey, Disney, if you're listening, send us to Galaxy's Edge. Let us film a podcast in the park and build some lightsabers.
Bro, he doesn't have
And
a
ride
silver
some
leg.
rides.
He doesn't.
need
That's what I'm saying.
screenshots.
1 minute and 5 seconds in, you can see it very clear. They're both gold.
That's impressive. Key the conspiracy theory music right now.
Yeah, the X-Files thing.
Yeah, so once they find out that the droids are hanging out in the eastern swamps, Padme and Jar Jar go out wearing like these hazmat suits, and we come across, I think for the first time, a female Gungan by the name of Peppy Bo. And poor Peppy, she loses her entire herd of cows from drinking the polluted water. Super bummer.
Super bummer.
Peppy then starts to attack Jar Jar and Padme when they show up to the scene. And they're basically like, no, we're trying to help you. Peppy tells them kind of, hey, go into the woods. Padme and Jar Jar go to the spot and get caught by Dr. Nuvo Vindi. But going back to something that Robbie said with like Jar Jar stumbling onto things, Jar Jar also trips in the woods and falls onto the hangar hatch or like the I guess the roof. And I'm just like, all right, this dude is force sensitive. Like, that's what it comes down to because he knew it was there and he's like, I can't let these people know that I'm a Sith, so I'm going to act stupid and trip and be like, oh, here's where we need to go.
Bro, lazy writing again. That's a great story arc. Why didn't we get that? I'm telling you, when Kylo Ren took off his helmet, it should have been Jar Jar.
And then at the end, when Rey kisses God, why can't I think of his name? Kylo. Instead of Kylo, it's Jar Jar, and Jar Jar and Rey are making out, and they're both becoming Skywalkers.
Oh God.
My name is Jar Jar Skywalker.
Jar Jar Skywalker.
And then at the end, they're burying the lightsabers together, and the ghosts of Luke and Leia show up, but then Anakin Skywalker shows up, and like he's like, Annie? And then roll credits.
Just lazy writing.
So I looked it up just now because I was trying to figure out like how in the world this whole gold leg, silver leg thing happens. So apparently in the Clone Wars that we're watching, he is gold, fully gold. And they're thinking that at some point during the Clone Wars he got damaged. And they couldn't find like a gold plated, because apparently it's just the shin. And so they're thinking that at some point whoever fixed him up couldn't find the gold plating on the shin. And that's why he has a silver one in Star Wars. But because like in episode 1, he was all wires and stuff. He was all exposed. And then
He's all naked.
yeah, in Attack of the Clones, he was all like gray plated. And then Clone Wars, he's gold. So maybe we'll see if his leg gets hurt in this. And then we'll be like, that's when it happened.
Now, you just texted us a photo of the Dr.
Finkelstein.
From Nightmare Before Christmas.
So when I first saw this doctor, what's his name?
Nuvo Vindi.
Yeah, when I saw him, this is exactly who I thought of. Like, I was like, why does this guy look like the doctor from Nightmare Before Christmas? That's all I kept seeing every time it would show him. I was like, that's Dr. Finkelstein.
Bro, the doctor's a creep.
Oh, bro.
Very much so.
How many times he's going to say, yeah? Do you remember that?
What?
You don't remember that part?
No.
Where
where he's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I was like,
I do
what
remember
is
that
happening?
now, yes.
Because I was trying to think, because I remember you saying last week, you're like, this blue virus, I remember that so much, from the first time I saw this. That's my impersonation of you, by the way, Brian.
Nice.
And then that's the moment where I was like, is that why Brian remembered it? Because this doctor's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, so Dr. Nuvo Vindi has recreated the blue shadow virus, which was originally like this water-based virus, and now it's an airborne virus, and he wants to put them in bombs, take them across the galaxy, and blow them up, basically creating the next plague, which might just be like, I know we've seen planets be destroyed and Death Stars be destroyed, just killing thousands of people, but that might be the darkest Star Wars like storyline that I've ever heard in this series.
Yeah, it was crazy too, because we first see this virus in action with Pepsi-Cola, the Gungan that was there with her cows. No?
Yes. Peppy Bow or Peppy Bo?
Pepsi Pop?
Yep, Pepsi Pop.
Whatever her name was.
Pepsi. It could have just solved the entire war, man. If Luke would have just handed Darth Vader a Pepsi, it would just all be over.
So, what made me laugh so hard about this Gungan Pepsi Pop, whatever her name is when her cows were drinking the water and were dying from this virus. She goes, "Oh, this is muy bad," and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot how much Jar Jar said that in Phantom Menace." Muy. I was like, "Oh man!" So it made me laugh really hard when I heard that, because we've seen Jar Jar a couple times, but some of his like patent phrases, like,
bro, she had them crazy eyes though.
So does Jar Jar.
Not like crazy, like blue, like hers.
Hers were a different color, but
there's a point in this episode where Jar Jar's wearing the freaking hazmat suit, and you know how like Jar Jar's eyes like normally stick upwards.
Yeah.
Like when he's wearing the suit, they're like pushed down on his face.
Exactly. See,
and he just looks so freaking goofy.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, credit to like Star Wars for not giving up on Jar Jar and just like still trying to make him a thing. But like after that, we get like this full-on assault on the lab, and Anakin, Ahsoka, and Kenobi are trying to rescue Jar Jar and Padme, and they find out that, or I guess they take down Vindi, right? They take Vindi down to begin with.
Yeah, so Ahsoka, which was super fucking cool, by the way, she like force carries this grenade or thermite, whatever it is, and she's like using the force. Like, I wasn't sure at first if it was like a droid like hovering, and then she's like straight up making this little grenade hover above ground, and then when they're flying in, she like throws it on the ground, and it explodes, breaching the bunker. And I'm understanding why you really like Ahsoka, because when she jumped in there and just, like I said, I really like the way she holds the saber and her fighting style. Like, she's super low to the ground and like just darts in and out and slices things. I'm like, damn, like that is badass, man. I like seeing her fighting. Oh, and the droidicas.
Oh yeah,
Droidicas come rolling in, and they rolled on the walls. Did you see that?
Yeah,
they rolled like up and down the walls, like in between like battle droids that were shooting. And I was like, oh my god, that is so sick. Like there's so many little things about this series that are so fucking cool. And then you have stupid things like Pepsi Pop Cola. People yeah. He sounded nuts, dude.
Yeah. So when the assault's going down, the Jedis are fighting. They basically are trying to capture all the bombs and deactivate it. And there's a scene where Obi-Wan is like, we found the bombs, and there's literally hundreds of bombs. And he looks at the two stormtroopers and he's like, you guys deactivate these. And I just wanted there to be a scene between the two stormtroopers or the clone troopers to be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Do you know how to deactivate these?
There was like 100 something in there. And like he's like, all right, I'm gonna go. You guys deactivate these. Brian, by the way, you have a very good Clone Wars Obi-Wan voice.
Do I?
Like I feel like you probably could voice him.
I'd be up for the challenge.
Like right now when you were
if they want to remake this series.
You two stay here. That was really good.
Yeah. It's so crazy though, because like it's weird for like this character of Obi-Wan, because like now that we've had, obviously this took place way before we got the new Obi-Wan series, but like there is that weird transition where we go from like the Ewan McGregor to the Alec Guinness, who's like fully British. So I feel like whoever the voice actor was in this was trying to bridge that gap to be like British but not, but it's just it's kind of weird. It doesn't really work at times.
Before that, Anakin.
Oh, what I miss?
Anakin saving Padme.
Oh,
because they said, like Obi-Wan had said multiple times, like, look, you know, you need to remember the mission. You need to know what's at stake here. And you kind of almost saw like a bit of the dark side with Anakin in this episode, with how much he was snapping at like, what's Obi-Wan?
Kenobi.
Yeah, just he was snapping at people like very much like, I'm going to do what I want. And he kept trying to remind him, like, remember what's at stake here. Remember the mission. And he's like, I know what's at stake. And then when he runs in and he chooses to save Padme instead of going after the bad guy, and I'm like, son of a freaking Anakin, man. Saving Padme instead of the mission. Like,
bro, he loves her.
I know, but
that's it. That's my defense.
Love is a powerful drug.
I'd save her too. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I would.
You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, they rescue Jar Jar. They rescue Padme. They find out a bomb's missing, and Jar Jar becomes a Jedi once again because dude is trying to find the bomb, and his Force senses are tingling, and he goes into a room based off of quote unquote smell and finds the bomb. But hey, sure, we'll say it's smell and not Force powers, but Jar Jar is a Jedi. Is what it comes down to.
Did anybody else think that this little droid that had this gas bomb looked like a freaking turkey?
Yeah, it took me a while to realize it was a droid.
Like when it was running around, I was like, oh, look, I can't get the idea of like a Thanksgiving turkey that is just naked, no head, just running around. Like that's all I kept seeing when it was running around. Because that little droid was thick! Slim Thickums!
I never thought it looked like a turkey.
They're deactivating all the bombs, and Anakin basically faces off with Vindy. Vindy's throwing these capsules of blue shadow virus, and Obi-Wan's catching them. Anakin's catching them. And who comes in at the very last minute to save the day? None other than our girl, Peppy Bo. The Gungans once again save the day.
What was the doctor's name again?
Dr. Vindy?
Vindy. Never mind.
Stupid.
Vindy nuts, is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at on the show. They deactivate the bombs, everything's safe, everybody's okay. Vindy's going to prison for the rest of his life, and yeah, kind of a happy ending.
Bro, that Gungan thing had some moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was whooping up on that Dr. Finkelstein guy.
Vindy.
Dr. Vindy.
Vindy
Vin
Vici.
We'll never forget his name now. You're welcome.
So this leads us into part 2, which is episode 18, The Mystery of 1,000 Moons, which is a fantastic title. Anakin and Kenobi are about to take Vindy back to Coruscant, and we find out down in the bunker that they look at the bombs, and one of the bombs is missing the vial of blue.
It was a freaking
blue shadow
turkey
virus.
droid.
Yep. The blue turkey droid unleashes the virus. Ahsoka, Padme, Jar Jar, Rex, everyone in the base is exposed.
Dude. Like, is Ahsoka gonna die?
I don't know, man. Mandalorian.
I got real nervous.
Maybe it's not Ahsoka in that show.
And then everybody dies and the universe is over. The end.
Correct.
So, going into this blue virus that got exposed in this bunker, how did it get exposed again?
The droid put it in a bomb and set the bomb off.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then...
Turkey bot.
So, let's talk about these clone troopers, okay? As you all remember, we watched Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and we talked about how the stormtrooper helmets couldn't seem to keep out water, right? They drowned.
Yep.
Then we watched Clone Wars, and we have clone troopers just hanging out in space with their normal helmets. And we were like, oh, okay, that's, they can go out in space, but God forbid they're underwater. And apparently airborne viruses can leak through their helmets as well.
Yeah, it doesn't... I don't get it.
I was like, man, how... They need to figure this out.
A lot of clone troopers are about to die, unfortunately. And the only... I mean... If we're really going to get down to like the nitty gritty of it, you could make the argument that this is a virus that hasn't existed for thousands of years. And when they were making clone trooper helmets, they probably didn't think that this virus would come back. So they just didn't put filters in it.
They probably thought that there was never a planet with water on it either.
Bro, they should have just worn masks and social distance. Okay?
Why would a stormtrooper wear their costume while they're swimming? Don't put an air filter in there.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean it's a very, very interesting setup where it's like we've seen it, like you said, done multiple times, but there's no consistency surrounding it.
Yeah. It's frustrating, but I mean it's also like we gotta understand it's a cartoon. Kid show, but if you're gonna make it canon, make it make sense, sons of bitches.
Don't go back and forth. Choose one or the other.
Pick one. Pick one. So anyways, we move on from there, and, everybody's going to die. So Obi-Wan and Anakin are tasked by, what was this guy's name?
Captain...
Tavo? Tubu?
Where the fuck did I write it? Captain Typho.
Typho. I knew it was a T.
Which is ironic, because isn't typho a disease?
Look at that. Look at you. You're so smart. They help them find, some sort of weed in a CIS overrun.
The Rixa route.
Yeah, Rixa route. So it's in the CIS controlled part of space, and there's like this giant like headquarters there apparently. And Obi-Wan, and again, this is where Anakin was being kind of snippy, like he was like, Captain Typho. He was like, we need to wait for more reinforcements. We'll send some armies, some clones with you. And Anakin's like, no, Obi-Wan and I have got this. And Obi-Wan's like, I concur. So they fly off hyperspace. They go to this planet. They land. And it was so cool seeing all the crazy debris out and stuff in space. And they land on this planet. And then they get out and they're just being mobbed by all of these freaking battle droids. But these battle droids look super weird. And Anakin's just running through them, mowing them down with a lightsaber. Just, one, two. He cut like 17 of them he cut down. But they were like weird looking battle droids that looked like they were put together by some kid.
There's a point where like there was one droid where like he drew the face on the helmet like a smiley face.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and I laughed so freaking hard at that.
I was like, all these battle droids look like they were put together by a kid. And then this kid comes out of nowhere. Was it Raybo?
Yeah.
And they're like...
Jabo.
And they're like, Jabo? This kid comes out of nowhere and he's like, do you know how long it took me to put those together? Like 9 months. And I was like, oh god, it was a kid.
Yeah, so Jabo, as I understood, was kind of one of the leaders of this planet after the CIS left, and like
No
he
way.
basically said the CIS left, and he kind of reprogrammed all these droids to kind of serve him, and then there's like other people living on the planet, but for the most part, they're all trapped because of this thing called Droll, which destroys any ship trying to leave the system.
Right, and so here's one thing that I thought was really stupid. This Jabo kid, and obviously Anakin knows a lot about droids, so Anakin's making comments about how Jabo had done some things to the droids, and I'm assuming that he figured out some sort of way to not have them programmed by the CIS, or basically not, be trying to go to war with people or things like that. And this kid straight up is like telling these two Jedi, like, yeah, do you want me to, tell you how I did that? Let me show you how to not have a CIS controlling them. And they're like, no, we're good. We don't have time for that. And I'm like,
they could have
what?
ended the war right there.
Turn the whole tide of war. Like, and they're just saying like, no, we need this little grassroots though.
That's because they already have their fodder. It's clones. They don't need droids.
That's what I'm saying. See?
Now we leave Iago and go back to Naboo following this. And there's a scene that I assume made you very angry, Robbie,
God, dude.
where they're in the hallway, they're hunting down the droids who are trying to escape. Jar Jar accidentally trips and causes Padme's suit to get shot, and now she has been fully exposed to the blue shadow virus.
Padme's gonna die. I'm so upset. She's gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to this with the fact that like we all know the outcome of the next movie, so it's like Padme really can't die.
It makes it less like, oh god, no.
I'm sure if I was a kid and I like didn't think about it, I'd be like, oh no, she could die. But, like, it's just the investment's not there for me.
It's probably because like, oh, there's always clones. They could just clone her.
Yeah. That's actually a freaking great idea. Why don't you think Vader tried that?
I don't know.
Like, go back to Naboo, dig up the body of Padme,
You would think.
and then kind of just bring her back to life as a clone.
Yeah. Get one of those crazy long
Because
neck.
Palpatine wouldn't let him.
I think he would have.
Daddy Palps was like, no Padme today. I just wanted you to think you were going to get your Padme.
But nah.
Yeah.
But really, I just wanted 3/4 of your body.
So anyways, we move on to Droll.
Back on Iago.
Okay, so this whole thing about Iago, I watch a lot of shows with subtitles on, and I kept thinking they were going to say Lego. Because
Lego my
it was
Iago?
a capital I, which looks like a lowercase L. And every time I would like kind of like glance at it, and I was like, oh, Lego. And they're like, Iago. And I was like, oh, that's right. Like 7 times it happened. I kept thinking they were going to say the word Lego, and they didn't.
Yeah, so they basically try to escape from... do they try to escape first, or do they go down into
No.
that valley?
They have to go get the route, so they go in this valley, and Jabo's like, they're like, you want to come with us? And he's like, no way. And they're like, you seem a little startled. Like, is there something we should know about? And he's like, no, just don't touch the vines, because otherwise they'll try to eat you because they got big teeths. And they were like, oh. And he goes, oh, and watch out for the, I don't know what he called them, the flying bat creatures.
Yeah.
And of course, what happens is one of those flying bat creatures comes out of nowhere, and they jump on it, fly it down to the bottom, and Obi-Wan starts getting attacked by this giant vine that almost looked like what was a little shop of horrors. Feed me,
Yeah, like a
Seymour.
Venus flytrap.
Yeah, that's what they look like. And while Anakin was digging up,
Giant Venus flytrap.
yeah, like a Venusaur.
How anticlimactic would it be if it was literally just like one Venus flytrap and it was like normal size, and he's like, this is what we're worried about?
So they escape.
Yeah, so they get the route, they climb back up, they basically like, all right, we're gonna leave, and then Droll's defense systems kind of go off while they're trying to leave, and they're like, well, we're gonna have to deal with this in order to kind of before we even go back to Padme.
Do you even talk about the video that Jabo showed them?
No.
So he was trying to warn them about this ghost of Droll that doesn't let anybody leave the planet, and he said something like 50 pilots tried, 50 pilots died. So then he shows them this video, and it's like one of those, I don't remember what they're called, but it's like the Greedo looking characters. And Jabo's like, that was Taquito. He was my friend. I just laughed so hard. This guy's name was Taquito.
I don't remember.
Oh
that.
my
That's
god!
awesome.
I was like, rip Taquito, dude. Why did Taquito have to go? So yeah, they go out into space trying to leave this planet, and it looks like a freaking Death Star, right?
Yeah,
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
This laser trap like kept them from leaving.
Death Star V1.
What's also interesting is this was the first time we got to see a space angel.
Oh, dude, that was so freaking cool. When they came back and they had this meeting about how, you know, because they kind of saw it, right? They saw that it was like an energy field or something, and so they were explaining to them that it's not this ghost of Droll, whatever the myth was, but it's actually a CIS like laser system. And then they were talking about some moon that I guess they inhabited, and they kicked off these space angel creatures, and that thing was so freaking cool looking. Like, I was bummed that it was only in the scene for like 5 seconds, but it was super cool looking.
It made me think of the long neck creatures that create the clones for some
That's
reason.
what I was thinking. The
Kaminoans. Kaminoans.
Kaminoans?
Kaminoites.
Kaminoites.
El
Someone,
Caminos.
like I said, listening to this is going to lose their freaking
Great
mind.
movie. Yeah, that laser scene was actually really, really sick, though.
It was.
Mhm.
Like seeing that laser,
Like all
like,
the potatoes.
and then it shows it from like the planet view too.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
Like,
sick.
they look like constellations, like when they were on the planet.
It also showed the limited. Oh my god! It also showed the limits of Anakin Skywalker,
That's true.
where he couldn't get through it.
Couldn't do it.
I bet he could have got through it if Obi-Wan wasn't harping in his ear to turn around.
You think so?
Oh,
Yeah.
Anakin.
See? He sounds just like the guy.
Yeah, you do.
So they basically land back on the planet and they're trying to convince people how to fix it. And we also get this really cool moment where it kind of goes into what you're saying, where like the dark side is starting to creep in because Anakin is showing more and more attachment to, you know, his Padawan Ahsoka and to Padme. And he's like, we have to get back. And Obi-Wan's like, yo, all in due time. And there's kind of like this really, I don't know, the beginning of tension between their relationship that Anakin's kind of got like, let's get this done. And Obi-Wan's like, patience.
Dude,
Be a Jedi.
the worst part of this is when they cut back and you just see sweet, sweet Angel Padme just giving this clone trooper this sponge bath on his forehead, just trying to take care of him. And then we see another clone trooper just dead. And she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, it's okay. That's what we were created for. And I was like, wow, yikes. And then they just cover him. And she's like, I hope his sacrifice will mean something. And then Ahsoka dies. And she's like, and she just dies. And I was like, oh my god, rip Ahsoka, dude. Like, it was great getting to know her. I thought she was a really cool character. And I'm really sorry, Brian.
She would have been great in live action.
Yeah.
I do think one of the cool things I liked about this episode was like the progression of the sickness, that like the veins started showing up on their face,
cool.
and like it was a cool effect. But basically the end of the episode is Anakin and Obi-Wan get the root back in time.
Wait, what?
They save Ahsoka, they save Rex and Padme, and all is well in the galaxy.
Bro, no way.
Yeah.
Bro, honestly, the craziest part was that Padme was wielding Thor's hammer the whole time to like starve off the sickness. Like, it was crazy.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Why are you
yet.
lying? I haven't seen that movie either.
I'm lying. You guys always lie about people dying.
Whoa. Okay, Anakin, Jesus.
I mean, the potential of Thor showing up in the Star Wars universe is not that far off.
Yeah, really not.
Rainbow Bridge.
That was something that my friends and I here in Austin, we were talking about this week, was that like the Disney Marvel crossover. Like, how far off do you think we are from seeing either like the Guardians of the Galaxy appearing in like in the background of a Star Wars,
Could you imagine?
or maybe like Thor in the background of a Star Wars, or like the Millennium Falcon in a Marvel movie? Like, do you think we're gonna see that?
Like,
I could see him doing like a Christmas special.
what if it was like
where there's a crossover?
Yeah, what if it was like Iron Man? Oh, he's dead.
Or like in the Christmas special, like they do like a Bing Crosby where they open the door and like Ewoks come in, and he's just like, "Oh, welcome,
Welcome.
welcome, come to the party." Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
Going back to your little trivia game we played earlier, where you were like, true or false, they never actually say the word Ewok in the show. The biggest reason why I was like, that's true, is because there's been multiple times in this show where there's a race of aliens and they don't say the name of them. It happened with the Talls. It happened with some other alien race too, where I don't even know the names of them until the very next episode we see, and they're doing the recap, and there's that guy, and he's like, Anakin and Obi-Wan are helping the Talls, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to look.
They even did it with the doctor, Dr. Nuvo Vindi. They waited a while to introduce his actual name.
Really?
Like he was on the screen for easily like 10, 15 minutes of the episode, and then when like Obi-Wan and Anakin show up on Naboo, they're like, what's going on? And he's like, well, here's this Dr. Nuvo Vindi.
Dr.
And I was
Nuvo
like, oh,
Ring.
now we know his name. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, unless they're like insane, they're not going to be like, I, Dr. Nuvo Vindi, shall do this. Like, you got to think that they're not like being crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever, B. You and your
so-
logic.
Rankings for this week's episode. I'm going to go ahead and take the first step. It's going to be 16, 17, 18. I'm just going to go in order.
That was mine. 16, 17, 18.
We all agree.
Ooh, a first.
Dang, that is a first. I don't have to be like, what the hell? You guys are nuts.
Yeah. You know, when I was editing last week's episode, I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Robbie might be onto something about his order. I was like, his
Vindies.
order might be a little better than what I was going for. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was kind of a fun story arc. I mean, the blue virus thing, like I said, is the thing that I remembered the most from this season. Not for any reason. It's just like I remember it being kind of a cool little story arc. But
Was it big?
Did you get the feeling that Obi-Wan already at this point knows about Padme?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
and
That they're
Anakin.
like
I don't
together?
remember when in the show that they show that Obi-Wan knows, or when in the movies.
Well, Anakin
Bro.
or Obi-Wan finds out that she's pregnant with Anakin's kid in revenge.
Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty early, but it was giving me like the hints that like he's already like so well aware of that.
Aware of what?
I'm pretty sure
That-
it's like the galaxy's
she's
worst
pregnant?
kept secret.
No, that they like each other.
No,
like,
what are you talking about?
they're both giving each other eyes like every moment.
Bro, he's loved her since Phantom Menace.
No, I know, but he obviously didn't make a move until he got older.
He made a move.
I mean, he tried to make a move when he was a kid, but she like laughed
He
at
made a
him.
move when she was sent to protect her in Attack of the
Well,
Clones.
and I think that there's also in like Attack of the Clones when they're coming into the arena and they're making out
Yeah.
while they're entering the arena. Obi-Wan probably knew at that point.
Exactly. Like, what do you mean? Your disapproval.
No, I just can't remember. I guess I should watch the Star Wars movies again.
There's
It's
a
been while
comment-
since I
Highly
Yeah.
watched them.
recommend it, man.
No,
They're
because
great.
there's this whole like almost like coffee conversation that Obi-Wan and Anakin have when they're going to protect her, and Obi-Wan's telling him, you know, be mindful. You're not supposed to have an attachment. You're not supposed to be with anybody. Like, you're part of the Jedi Order. He's having that conversation with him. He already knows.
Well, I knew that Obi-Wan knew that Anakin liked Padme. What I didn't realize was how early on he knew that there was something going on and didn't say anything. Like, he basically protected Anakin and let it happen by knowing and not doing anything about
Attack
it.
of the Clones, like Brant said.
But there is going to be a point coming up in the upcoming season where we see an Obi-Wan romance. So
With
we can't
Ventress?
Really, no.
I'm telling you that yes or no. Here's a question for you guys: true or false? Was there sexual tension between them?
That's a very subjective true or
Go
false.
back and watch
See,
it.
I took it more as a... I don't know. I felt like he was talking down to her by calling her sweetheart or whatever he
My
said.
sweet,
Like,
my sweet.
yeah. I still felt like he was talking down to her by doing that. Like, she's like a straight up assassin, and he's
That
like
turns him on.
basically calling her cute.
That turns him on.
You gotta imagine Obi-Wan doesn't get much action. Okay,
None of the Jedi. do.
exactly. You have to
They're, like,
think
celibate.
that he's like, hey, this girl really seems to want me, whether she wants to kill me or not. It is hot. And the way she says my
Bro,
name,
they're not celibate. They just don't talk
the
about
way
it.
she says my name. Oh, it's you, Obi-Wan. He's like, oh, girl. Let me give you this lightsaber right quick.
Ooh.
Put you in a forced submission.
Oh God. PG.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like
you
I
could
should
say
Google
the F word.
did Asaajj Ventress
What was it? Article 43?
and Obi-Wan Kenobi do it?
Section 34. What was it?
Rule 34.
Rule 34. I bet there is some Asaajj Ventress at Rule 34. I guarantee you.
No.
I don't even want to look up Obi-Wan Kenobi Rule 34. I feel like that would be terrible.
Anyways, for those of you still listening to this,
The very top search is Are Ventress and Obi-Wan in love?
Is that really?
I'm not the only one that feels this way.
I didn't even finish typing it, and that's what
what
popped up.
So what do we got next week, guys? 4 episodes?
Yeah, so next week is the final episode of Season 1 of Clonecast for us. So we got 4 episodes left. We're going to knock out all 4 of them next week. So if you're watching along with us, make sure you watch the final 4 episodes because there will be spoilers.
What are the titles?
And the next... I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, what are the titles? I think that's what you were getting into.
Yeah, Let me...
Starting off with Storm over Ryloth,
Yes.
where Anakin teaches Ahsoka a lesson. Naughty, naughty.
Especially the next one, Innocence of Ryloth.
Go ahead.
Obi-Wan and a small clone force take on a powerful droid cannon.
Oh, God. Bryant?
And then we have episode 20. 21. The Liberty of Ryloth. Mace Windu must convince Sham Syndulla to save the capital city.
You gave him the hardest one.
Yeah, no, I was like... And then episode 22.
Finishing off with Hostage Crisis, where Bounty Hunter seized control of the Senate building.
All right, so here's the thing. 19, 20, 21, basically you can tell from the titles, they're all one story arc. Episode 22 takes place almost immediately after the movie that we just watched.
Okay.
First movie?
Yeah, the
really?
Clone Wars movie. Yeah. So episode 22 takes place immediately after that.
Interesting. Little
Because
time
that
travel.
weird Jabba Hutt character that's like, no, I'm not, or whatever the guy's voice
yeah,
was.
the
Like,
one that
he's kind of the character in
I
it.
thought was a girl, but it's a guy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot to be excited about. We're also got 7 seasons of episodes to talk about. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. My name is Bryant.
My name is Robert.
And Brendan, as always.
May the Force be with you.
Roger, roger.